Gerard turned his gaze to Marin, something complicated moving through his eyes. He had managed to decline the Emperor's dinner invitations one after another, but the hunting festival was another matter. He'd had no choice. The festival had been called to celebrate the Crown Prince's engagement, and refusing to attend would have been a statement in itself. Marin, unaware that he had been declining the Emperor's invitations for her sake, had wanted to come. She hadn't wanted to leave De alone among the nobility, she'd said. He had found it difficult to argue with that. At that moment, Handers and Ubis burst through the tent flap, breathing hard. Your Grace. Handers? Ubis? Gerard and Marin spoke at the same time. What's happened? Olive asked, looking between the two arrivals with a puzzled frown. I greet your Grace. Handers caught his breath and gestured to the man beside him. Ubis, tell them. Ubis looked at the Duke with a visibly strained expression. Congratulations on the occasion, your Grace. A pause. Miss, the giant rabbit has disappeared. What? Marin's pale green eyes filled with shock. I'm so sorry, Mississippi. Ubis lowered his head, his face dark. Gerard's calm voice cut through the tent. Tell me everything. From the beginning. \\\\\. Ubis, who had grown close to Pan Pan during the months of her training, had gone to her treehouse early that morning. After Marin had left for the capital, he had taken it upon himself to bring Pan Pan the good cuts of beef she liked, the ones that helped when Pan Pan was restless and frustrated by the change in routine. The treehouse door was always open. He walked in without knocking. Pan Pan, I'm here. No answer came from the bedroom. That alone was strange. Pan Pan had unfailing instincts when it came to meat, no matter how deeply she was resting. The beef on the plate was still warm, still fragrant. The smell should have brought her out of anywhere. Ubis tilted his head and looked inside. The straw-covered bedroom was empty. The back of Pan Pan's treehouse opened onto the forest that bordered the Duke's castle grounds. Pan Pan still carried the instincts of a rabbit and loved the trees. She went out to walk among them often. Ubis looked down at the meat, still steaming gently. Fresh grilled meat was better warm. He carried it outside and went around to the back of the treehouse to find her. The rain 2 days ago had softened the soil. Pan Pan's tracks were clear and easy to follow. Ubis followed them into the trees. But even after going some distance, there was no sign of Pan Pan. And the tracks were wrong. At first they had been steady, the even, purposeful prints of a large animal moving in a single direction. But somewhere in the middle of the forest, they had begun to falter. Growing uneven. Erratic. As if whatever was making them had been stumbling. The prints led out of the trees and up to the castle's outer wall. At the base of the wall, the ground was disturbed, gouged and dragged, as though something very heavy had been pulled across it. And beside the marks, a scattering of untouched meat. Ubis stared at it. That was impossible. That had never happened. Not once. His stomach dropped. He picked up the remaining pieces and ran directly to the butler's office. Butler. Ubis threw the door open without knocking and was met immediately with Sebastian's unimpressed stare. Ubis. How old are you, and you still can't manage to? Pan Pan is gone. She ate and left the rest behind. Pan Pan has never left meat behind. Sebastian rose from his chair with an expression that had snapped instantly from mild irritation to sharp attention. Give it here. He took the meat and examined it carefully. Looking closely, he found a fine white powder mixed in among the red flesh. Was there anything else? Besides this? Something was dragged along the ground, toward the wall. Sebastian's jaw tightened. He reached into the box on his desk and took out a small vial, tipping a few drops onto the meat. Red bubbles immediately bloomed across the surface. What is that? Eubis asked, staring. A test for what's been put into the meat. Sebastian, who usually wore an expression of carefully maintained pleasantness, had gone red, visibly holding back something that was not pleasant at all. Blue would mean poison. Red like this, sleeping draft. Sleeping draft? Bring Handers to this office immediately. Yes. Sebastian wrote up a brief report and had it sent ahead. Handers arrived at a run. Handers was the most agile of the castle's knights. If the message somehow fails to reach him, go yourself and tell him in person. His Grace will likely know immediately who took the rabbit. Get to the Duke's residence in the capital as fast as you can ride. Understood. I want to go too. Eubis, still standing in the corner, raised his hand. Sebastian looked at him. Eubis held his gaze with unusual firmness. I found it. I can explain everything to His Grace directly. Better than a written report. Sebastian considered this for a moment, then gave a single sharp nod. Fine. Go with Handers. / When Eubis finished his report, silence fell over the tent. No one could find words immediately. Gerard raised his head and looked out through the tent opening, his gaze cutting across the distance to the platform where the Emperor sat. The Emperor's face, from here, was relaxed. Almost leisurely. What does the Emperor want? It couldn't simply be that he wanted the rabbit herself, a rare monster that had chosen to follow a person. That alone wasn't enough to explain this. Gerard's fists closed slowly at his sides. He turned. Marin had gone pale, the color had drained from her face entirely. She raised her gaze slowly and met his. Her eyes were trembling. The way the earth trembles. They looked at each other, and neither of them could open their mouths. The moment they said it aloud, they both knew it would become real. The terrible premonition would stop being a premonition. Transparent tears gathered slowly in Marin's light green eyes. When Gerard saw them, he felt something in his chest pull apart. Marin. It's not. Right? Marin shook her head. Her vision was already blurring. Tears fell. Her whole body was shaking, the fine tremor of someone whose dread has become physical. No. It's probably not. It can't be. She kept repeating it. The same words, over and over. Gerard wrapped his arms around her shoulders and drew her gently against him. Her heart was pounding so hard he could feel it through his chest. Gerard, if Pan is really drums. The sound rolled across the hunting grounds, loud enough to feel in the bones. Marin's shoulders jumped. Her hands found his collar and gripped it. Her face had gone white. Her head turned, slowly, toward the direction of the sound. / At the sound of the drums, every noble emerged from their tents. In the wide open space before the platform, a large circle had been marked into the ground. The Imperial Guards ringed the elevated stage where the Emperor sat, standing shoulder to shoulder like a wall of armor. The Emperor looked down at the assembled nobles with the unhurried ease of someone watching something he had arranged for his own entertainment. Listen. Before the hunting festival begins, we have prepared a special event. Everyone may enjoy themselves. As the last word left his mouth, a cart draped in black cloth was wheeled out from behind the platform. It came to a stop at the center of the marked circle. The driver jumped down and stood to one side. A long horn sounded. A knight reached out and slowly drew back the black cloth. Oh. What is that? Good God. The nobles erupted in shock, voices breaking over one another. In the cage mounted on the cart sat a white rabbit, larger than a grown man, smeared in places with dark blue-tinged blood. This is a desert beast called Pan, the apex predator among desert monsters. To whoever brings me the head of this beast, I will give the sacred ruby as reward. A necklace of such beauty that it seemed to justify the name, a deep sapphire the color of the night sea, ringed with diamonds. It was among the first treasures of the imperial palace, long a personal favorite of the late empress, and had sat without an owner in the treasury since her death. That he was offering it as a prize for this was almost incomprehensible. Several nobles who had strong confidence in their swordsmanship reached instinctively for their hilts. The crowd had begun to divide, those pulling back and those leaning in, when the Duke of the West and his fiancée walked slowly out of their tent.